What are sequences with an explicit formula? A sequence can be written using an explicit formula if every element can be defined using its index. Consider this sequence, which contains the first 10 positive even numbers. You would write the explicit formula for the elements in the sequence like this. You read this as each element, an, is given by 2 times its index, n. To check that this is right, let's put the values in a table. The first element of the sequence, with index n equal to 1, is 2. The second, where n equals 2, is 4. The third, where n equals 3, is 6. This keeps happening until the final element, with index 10, having a value of 20. So, as you can see, writing the sequence in this way was a lot of work. The explicit formula, however, is a lot easier to write. It's also important to know the length of the sequence. You will see that when you look at finite sequences. Defining a sequence by its explicit formula is beneficial in 2 ways. It is often quicker than trying to write out the whole sequence. It can be easier to understand what's going on with the sequence by reading the explicit formula. However, there isn't always a nice way to give an explicit formula to calculate values from. Consider the sequence of all prime numbers in ascending order. Finding a formula to compute all the prime numbers is a question that has puzzled the greatest mathematicians throughout history, up to the present day. Later, you will see a different way of writing sequences, called recursion, which is often used in computing. For now, let's keep to writing sequences using explicit formulas, as they are often easier to work with. Let's wrap up by considering one final example. Consider the infinite sequence given by the explicit formula. an equals n over n plus 1. You can then use the formula to calculate each term. The first element, a1, is 1 over 1 plus 1, which is 1/2. a2 is given by 2 over 2 plus 1, or 2/3. a3 is 3 over 4, and so on. You can't write all the elements. It's an infinite sequence after all. But because you know the explicit formula, you can calculate the value of any element in the sequence without having to know the elements before. What is a100? It's 100 over 100 plus 1, or 100 over 101. a235 is 235 over 236. So, you see, because of the formula, you actually know every element of an infinite sequence. A sequence can be written using an explicit formula if every element can be defined using its index.